Hi, Elena here, your mommy tantrum specialist. And today's episode will be special because I'm also recording it at the same time on the video. Because I started listening to some podcasts and then I saw that they are recording them also as videos and posting it on YouTube. And I realized that I was enjoying more watching the podcast than just listening to it. So I decided to give it a try. At the same time, I'm not going to talk on the camera for those who are watching, maybe, because I feel like it flows best for me when I close my eyes because I don't work with any notes. I don't read anything from a piece of paper. I kind of like download it from within myself and my intuition. So, just a little word of like spoiler alert, I'm not going to be interacting with you on the video anyways. But if you prefer watching for whatever reason, then you'll have the chance. So as you might have heard me in the intro, the topic of today's podcast episode will be about creating calm. And if you've been around Zen Supermom and this mental fitness for busy moms, you've heard me talking about it. And maybe this is why you are here. That's why most of the women come to work with me, because they feel so stressed and overwhelmed and frustrated and getting angry and triggered by their kids. And when I ask them, well, what would you like instead? Then after we get through the initial phase of saying not angry or not triggered, not stressed, then I tell them, well, eyes on the road, don't look at where you don't want to go, look where you want to go. Then they tell me that actually what they're after is the sense of calm and peace in their day-to-day life, the feeling of being present with their kids when they are playing, when they're spending the moments together, just being there in the moment, not in their heads. So this is what majority of my work is about. Helping women get there, even though they're so busy, they have so many responsibilities, helping them create that sense of calm, no matter what, even in the middle of a perfect stress storm, even in the middle of a public tantrum. But how? That's the question that I get the most often. So that's why I'm doing so many free trainings. And if you've been around, then you might have been to one or two. But even in those free trainings, to be like perfectly transparent with you, which I always am, or I'm doing my best to be, not always finding the right balance between introducing what I do and sharing also not just the what, but how. Because either I share not enough or I share too much. And either way, it leaves people confused. So this is where I noticed there is a gap in what I'm sharing with people, like when they first come to me and when they have never heard anything from me. So that's what I will try to do with this podcast episode. What is really mental fitness about? What is the method that we use? I'll say we, because mental fitness is not my method. It's Shirzad Chamine, the founder of Positive Intelligence. He's the one with his team who did all the science and research studies and tests and everything behind the scenes. So if you're interested in that, you can go and check it out on positiveintelligence.com, where I'm bringing my piece or my angle looking at it, because in its origins, mental fitness was, or positive intelligence practice was targeting managers and executive teams and leaders. And it was mainly for men in the corporate environment. That's where most of Shirzad's examples are coming. So what I did, because I participate in his training and I got trained in his method, but I'm flipping it all to my biggest challenge, because my biggest challenge is not to succeed in the corporate ladder, climbing that. But my challenge was always, well, how to stay calm as a mom and how to have the best of my life, leveraging my strengths, like the fact that I want to be doing lots of things, I have ambitions, I have goals, I want to take care of everything and everybody, but I just don't want to be stressed in the process. So if that sounds like you, if you're struggling with something similar, then this episode might be worth listening to, at least for sure, if this is the first time that you just found me and you're curious. So we are going to unpack here one of the core methods of mental fitness. Okay, why is it so successful and how it really works? Sounds interesting? Let's dive into this. So mental fitness relies on the idea and that brain research that basically there are two parts of your brain. So just allow me just for a moment. I'm not going to dive into like brain science right now, but just so that you understand. And I also unpacked a little bit of it in my previous episode. It was number 18? I think so. This one will be number 19. Yeah. And that was to explain that we have two parts of the brain. There's a survival part of your brain, which is responsible for focusing on everything that's negative, that might be a threat to your life in your environment. And then the second part of your brain is the one where your creativity flows, your intuition, your the unconditional love, empathy for others. And this is the more sometimes they say like the masculine and feminine, but that's not really true because even the masculine, the survival part of the brain, all of us have it. That's why we were able to survive the cave and jungle times when those times millions of years ago when you were struggling for your life every day, all day long, because it could have been eaten by somebody, by some animal, or killed by anybody, right? So this distinction of our brain, these two key parts, this is the key reason, and this was a big shortcut. I have simplified it really a lot. I know that, I'm aware of that. But this understanding is key for you to realize why is it that none of the typical mom advice work. Okay, and that's what I unpacked in the previous podcast episode. It's not about parenting, because it's not about your kids. It's not that your kids are triggering you. They might be doing exactly the same thing or the tantrum on a day when you feel calm, and you will not jump up the same way as you do when you're already stressed out, when it's the end of the day and you're exhausted, right? You're going to react in a different way. That's why it's not about your kids. Like if it was not your kids, it would be your husband or a spouse, a partner triggering you, or your coworker, or your mother-in-law, or just like whomever. There would be always somebody who would be triggering you and stealing your calm. Okay, so I'm sharing this brain piece, this brain science piece, for you to realize why it's not about your kids. This is also why it's not fully about having a me time and doing self-care. Because even during those moments, you can be still hijacked by your survival brain that will keep looking for threats, that will keep running through that to-do list of things that you need to be doing. It will still keep making you stressed out and overwhelmed, even in the middle of your bubble bath, which was my classic example. So that's why this piece is so key to understand. That's why none of the typical mom advice on how to stay calm, that's why it doesn't work, because it doesn't address the reason why you are stressed, the reason why there is anger building up in you. That real reason, that root cause, at the bottom, if you would peel it like an onion, why this is happening to you is really that wiring of your brain. Whenever you're angry, frustrated, resentful, whatever negative emotion, it's a signal for you from your body, from your mind, that you are sitting right now in that survival brain. Okay. And again, as I say always, not your fault. This is completely natural and normal. But ideally, you would learn how to switch from that side of your brain to the other one, right? The one that can stay focused, like laser focused concentration and calm, even in the middle of whatever is happening. Okay, that's what's possible, and that's what we want. This is what we are after in mental fitness. It's not about what they call toxic positivity, meaning pretending that life is full of unicorns and rainbows and there's nothing wrong and nothing bad happening in the world, because that's not true. Things are happening all over the place, and your life might be like a complete I don't want to say bad words, but okay, disaster show, let's call it that way. Nobody is disputing that. Nobody's saying that it's only in your head, and if only you were more positive, then you would be calm. And no, we are not going to pretend that you don't have challenges, okay? That's why this first point, that's why I wanted to spend a little bit of time on that brain explanation, because this is where it's key. If your super smart brain is interested in more proof and in more logical explanations how that really works, because the one that I just shared was really super simplified, then go ahead, read more about that on that Positive Intelligence website, and then jump back in with this podcast. Okay, so this is first important point. It is about your brain, about how it's wired naturally for survival reasons. So we want it to be wired that way. We are happy it is done this way because it got you this far. But now, knowing this, so what? Now, here is the point where the how comes. Okay, how does mental fitness rewire that brain from survival, the traffic, like all your thoughts going to that survival brain, meaning you hear all those stressful voices in your head who tell you, you're not good enough, you need to try harder, you need to speed up, otherwise you're not going to do everything. And if you don't do everything, it means that you're a bad mom. Your husband will leave you because he doesn't want to be with such a bad mom. Your kids will hate you. And when they are 30, they will be complaining about you all over the internet and they will screw up their kids. Therefore, your life is doomed. You're worthy of nothing, so better like move your butt and get this done. Sounds similar. You might be listening to similar stories like this in your head every day, right? And that's the responsibility of your survival brain. So on one hand, we are proud of those voices because we are thinking like, that's my motivation, very negative one, but yes, I need it so that it would make sure that I get better and I'm the best mom I can be. Really? Is that what it's doing? Because from how I see it, it's just helping you get sick, stressed out, and have those mommy tantrums with your kids or maybe your husband as well. So this is where we move it with mental fitness. We help to rewire the traffic from your thoughts going in that survival brain to calming down your nervous system and starting to think and even more be, not just think and do, but be and feel into that thrive brain. More of that intuition, curiosity, laser focus, even if you're in the middle of like really stressful situation, but you're staying focused on what's the most important to get done, most important thing to get done as efficiently as possible. And because you're not stressed, you're not hijacked by those stress hormones, you're able to see all the options. Right? Because how often does it happen to you when you're stressed out? Life seems like black and white or black and black. It's like none of the ways is going to work. It's going to end up as a disaster anyway. So you're just choosing the least bad one, let's say, if it's English anyways. That's what the survival brain does to you, that tunnel vision. If we rewire the traffic from your brain over to the thrive circuits of your neurons in your brain, you can stay calm even in the middle of a similar situation. And you will see that it's not just black and black or black and white, but you will see all colors of the rainbow. You will have much more choices open because that's what happens to you once you calm down, right? After that big fight or after that stressful situation, the day after or a week after, one day when you manage to calm down enough, you get access to more ideas. And then you're thinking like, oh, shoot, I should have said this, or I could have done this, but I completely, like, it was not possible for me to see that opportunity back then because I was so stressed out. I was freaking out. I had a panic attack. So I didn't see all these other choices that was available to me that would have led to much more effective outcome with less damage along the way, right? So this is what we are doing with mental fitness, rewiring the traffic of your brain. The traffic, I mean, like your thoughts that are going through your head, the stories that you keep telling to yourself. And now how do we do it? By doing what we call peaky reps. If you've never heard me talking about PQ reps before, then I'm just going to give you here a super brief explanation, and I'm going to send you to a little website that I made where you have a short video. I think it takes only 7 minutes, and you have there also a download. You have there a PDF sheet that you can download so that you can keep practicing and you can keep doing it at home. Okay. So now what is it? PQ reps. If you remember the abbreviation IQ, which stands for logical intelligence quotient, it's something you can measure. You can measure how smart your brain is by doing some IQ tests. Now, PQ stands for positive intelligence quotient. So we can measure also how strong your mental muscles are. Meaning, of course, you don't have any muscles in your brain, but those neurological pathways, those highways that direct that traffic in your brain, the strength with which you manage to switch from the hijack, from the survival brain over to the thrive brain, that can be measured. How often you're able to do that can be measured in a test. Okay. And thanks to neuroplasticity, which is the ability of your neurons, of your brain to literally reshape itself. If you give it's like physical muscles. If you go to the gym and you start working on a certain muscle, doing certain types of exercises regularly, consistently, you will see increase in that muscle mass. It will grow. And that's the same with your brain. Even though you don't have muscles, but you have neurons, and the pathways between them, between those cells on your brain, you can strengthen them. You can make them, the more you use them, the more you use certain connections in your brain, the more it becomes your second nature. And from like a little path in the middle of the forest that's hardly even you cannot see it, it will become a highway. So you will go so fast from A to B. You will go so fast from that survival to a thrive brain, where you are able to stay calm even in a stressful situation. So that's what the PQ reps do. PQ reps are your repetitions, reps for repetitions. Again, like going to the gym, doing repetitions of squats, push-ups, whatever it is that you're doing. We do PQ reps, which is the exercise for your brain. That's meant to strengthen those connections between the neurons that lead from that stressed out brain into that calm, peaceful brain. Make sense? I hope it does. If it doesn't, shoot me a question on email or anywhere. I'll continue. So this is what PQ reps do. Now, what are exactly PQ reps? That's what you're going to find out in that little website that I'm going to share with you, where I did it's called PQ mini tutorial, because literally it's a tiny tutorial to explain what PQ reps are and how you can do that. In short, PQ rep is anything that makes as much of your attention focus on one of your physical senses. The sense of sight, so focusing 100% on what you're looking at. Sense of hearing, so focusing 100% or 99 point whatever is possible for you % of your attention on what you're hearing. On your sense of touch, smell, taste. Okay, using any of them or a combination of them for a very brief period of time. For me, what works is even as little as 30 seconds of time. For example, when I'm brushing my teeth, I'm focusing on what noise it makes. Then I switch attention to feeling the toothpaste, to feeling how those bristles brush against my teeth and gums. And so by the time I finish brushing my teeth, it's like I've been doing 2-3 minutes of PQ reps. Okay. That's one of my favorite examples. That's what practically PQ reps are. Okay. So that's why I love this mental fitness practice, because unlike any other kinds of mindfulness methods, including meditation, it takes much less time and it's much more flexible, because you can do it anywhere, and you should be doing it anywhere, anytime. Because the meditation, yes, it calms down your nervous system. Yes, it helps you access that part of the brain that we want. However, you're conditioning your body and brain to relate or initiate this calm sense of peace only with that area. So only with your living room or your meditation space, only with a certain time of the day, which is usually the morning or the evening. So you're conditioning your brain to go to that place only if those conditions are fulfilled. So only when you're sitting on your yoga mat after a yoga class and you're doing your little 5 minutes meditation, that's where your brain is conditioned to go there. But then come the evening with your kids, you're trying to cook dinner, trying to put them in a bath, have them eat dinner, and just get to bed as early as possible because mama is tired. That sense of peace is like, it's so far away from you. And you cannot wait until the next morning when you finally can get calm again, because you need to get calm right now, not to freak out at your kids, right? This is a major limitation for me, where meditation is not enough to help you get calm. That's why meditation for most of moms doesn't work. And that's why I love mental fitness, because peak reps you can be and should be doing at any point of your day as often as you can think about it. You're standing in a line of the grocery store, and instead of thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be late, and why is it taking so long, and this person is so annoying, and this cashier should be just faster, like, come on, she's so bored, she doesn't even care. I'm stressed out because I need to pick up the kids from the school, I need to get the dinner done, blah, 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 blah. Instead of doing that or going over to your phone to calm down by scrolling through Facebook or Instagram, what you do is that you start doing peak reps. And you do it either with your vision, either with your sight. So you can really focus 100% of your attention to what you're seeing. And it can be anything, like choose the fruit that the person in front of you has put on the belt that moves. Or choose your shoes, like look at your shoes. No judging, no comparisons, no nasty blah 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 in your head, but fully observing the colors, the shapes of what you're seeing, the tiniest details that you have never noticed before, even though you might have seen that thing for like a billion times already in your life. Just for a few seconds, being fully present and there for that one thing. Okay, that's what a peak rep is. And that's why not only you can, but you want to be doing it as often as possible in your normal day, in your day-to-day, whatever activities you're engaged with. If it's with your kids, I love looking at my daughters, either at her hair or at her eyelashes, because they're close to her eyes. I want her to have that contact, that visual contact with her. So then I either focus on the color of her eyes or on her eyelashes. And for just a few seconds, I try to give it my full attention, or to her voice. Okay. This is what the core, the key of the mental fitness practice. Now, when I mentioned it in those free webinars, usually what comes is, how would I call it? Not believing, like it's that thought, well, this sounds too easy to be true. It sounds a little bit like, this is weird. How come it works? And is it really that easy? And I don't see myself, and another objection, like typically, well, I don't see myself thinking about my daughter's eyelashes when she's triggering me and when she's having a tantrum, to which I'm replying, yes, indeed. You're absolutely right. If you start doing peak reps only after you got triggered, and that's the only time when you do that, when your kids drive you crazy, then no, it's not going to work. Because again, it's like with that going to the gym or physical fitness. If you're trying to lift a heavy, what's heavy? I have piano next to me. If you're trying to lift a heavy piano and you have never done any lifting before, and your back is all rusty and your body is all weak, then you're going to hurt yourself, of course. Not going to work. It's the same like if you want to run a marathon. You better start walking regularly first, then maybe running a few meters, few hundreds of meters, and then the rest walking. And then you start increasing your training doses, right? It's the same with peak reps. You do them in a training, whenever you can during your day. Most likely you will remember it only when you're calm. You will not remember it when you're already stressed out or triggered. That's why you need to build up those muscles first. You need to start building that highway in between those two halves of your brain, so that when the trigger comes, when it's difficult, then it's much more accessible to you to switch that traffic, right? This is the most challenging piece, because most of us today are looking for the magic pill, right? If I would tell you mental fitness works, but it takes a couple of weeks and it might take daily focus, even though it takes few seconds each time, but you need to remember it. Or I will give you this magic rainbow pill, and if you eat it, you become no matter what. Like, what would you choose? You would take the pill, right? That's why there are so many pills for weight loss and shit. Excuse my language. This I have to say that it is shit. Because how can you believe those things? This is just the shortcut. This is the marketing people playing with your brain. With all of your fears, like, oh, and this is so difficult, or oh, am I going to remember? And like, oh no, I want the results now. That's what I come across as well. Even though I explain, unlike the physical gym, you don't need to stay there for hours a day. You don't need to be on a strict diet to get in shape mentally. The mental fitness doesn't take much time at all. But yes, I will admit, it takes building a habit. Only once it becomes a habit, once it becomes your second nature, then it's effortless. But at the beginning, it takes some concentration to remember to do your PQ reps. Okay. So if that's you who understands that magic pills don't exist, then I would invite you to check out that PQ mini tutorial. Start doing your PQ reps. Let me know how it went for you. And maybe sign up for one of my free events. You can usually find it on Facebook. You can find the Zen Supermom Cafe Facebook group. That's where I am advertising. I'm inviting people to join me for those free events. But if you're going to do that PQ mini tutorial, it means you will get on my email list, so you will get notified the next time I'm doing some free webinars and trainings. Okay. So that's the best way how to get started. That's the best way to get to know me as well. Because I understand if it's just been a few days since you find me through some Facebook ads or social media, then you're thinking like, oh, who is this lady? And is it really true? How does this work? So you might need to take some more time and do more research on me and what I do. So feel free. And if this sparkled your curiosity, then reach out to me and let me know. Because I always love to hear your own examples and stories. And yes, but what would you do then? Challenges, because I love that. I love those real world examples. That's how we make sense out of theories. Because if there's one thing I want you to take away from this is that, and it's also another reason why I love mental fitness so much, because it's so practical. And its success depends on the application, really, on doing it. Unlike so many parenting books and like blah blah theories that stay up there in the clouds, this is so down to earth and linked to your reality that really, in order for it to make it work, you need to be doing it. Like the success lies really in the practice. Okay. Because I've had so many women meeting me, like talking to me, and they were telling me, well, I read so many things and I know so much, and lots of them are psychologists or even therapists or parenting experts, but they are having troubles with applying what they learn. It stays in their logical brain, but it's not present in their lives. When they need it the most in the real life situation, it's like there's that dark cloud in the middle of their brain. They cannot access any of this logical brain information, right? Because they're hijacked. All of their thoughts are sitting in that survival brain. And their muscles are not strong enough. They are not trained. So there is no highway between those two parts of the brain. And the traffic just stays stuck there in that negative for hours, for days, even for weeks. They feel the pain, they feel the stress, they feel the resentment towards somebody who was not fair, didn't help them, people crossing boundaries, people asking you for something and you're not able to say no, and then being mad with yourself and like da 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 da. So this is why this practice is so important. Hence my invitation. So take that PQ mini tutorial and then let me know. Send me your story. Let me know what your story is. Let me know how it worked for you when you tried. Let me know whatever questions and yes buts you have. And let's do this. Let's do this together. This was the first step. If you're interested in going deeper, then I have either a group program if finances are your priority, and if speed is your priority, then I'm inviting my clients to reach out and check with me for one-to-one sessions for my availability, because that's usually where we can get much faster and much bigger results for you. So I look forward to hearing from you, and I wish you a great week, Supermom.